we're in the lawsuit. We're trying to get the information. And I see Nancy Pelosi, they've created this select committee. This is the real investigation. This is, I think, our 5th or 6th lawsuit on basic January 6th information. As you know, the left and specifically the Democrats, for political purposes, quite obviously, is using January 6th and the disturbance at the U.S. Capitol as an excuse to suppress its political opposition, restrict its First Amendment rights, and in some cases, jail people based on their First Amendment protected speech. And Judicial Watch has been concerned because obviously we don't support, and it goes without saying, despite what the left says, we don't support violence. The left uses violence and has supported it as an instrumentality over the last few years, especially to target its political opposition. But the question is, is January 6th being used as an excuse to further abuse the civil liberties of American citizens, and specifically political opponents or people who are critical of Joe Biden or people who ask questions about the wrong things? And it looks like that's the case. We have a new lawsuit, and this is an interesting one, against the FBI. So we're suing the Justice Department for FBI documents. The FBI would have you believe they're this dishonestly mislead you into thinking they're this separate agency that is beholden to no one, when in fact they're run by the Justice Department. And the Attorney General ultimately is responsible for it. So we sued the FBI for the records on the alleged transfer of bank financial data of every person in the DC area on January 6th. We asked because there was a report that happened. There were several news articles that Bank of America specifically had actively but secretly engaged in the hunt for extremists in cooperation with the government. And following the events of January 6th, gave the FBI financial records of their customers who fit the following profile. Customers confirmed as transacting either through bank account debit cards or credit card purchases in Washington, D.C. between 1/5 and 1/6. That will cover everyone in the city, practically speaking, potentially, who's a Bank of America customer. And I don't believe it was just limited to Bank of America. Purchases made for hotel, Airbnb, RSVPs in DC, Virginia, and Maryland on 1/6. Any purchases of weapons or weapon-related merchants at a weapons-related merchant between 1/7 and their upcoming suspected stay in DC area around Inauguration Day. So they were investigating people even after 1/6, not because they'd done anything there. It's just they wanted to know who was purchasing guns. As a dragnet. And of course, airline-related purchases since 1/6. So we asked for documents about that. That's pretty extraordinary. Did the bank do it because the FBI requested? Some reports suggest that there was no subpoena, there was no, quote, letter, national security letter or otherwise, requesting this information. There was this data dump. If you were a Bank of America customer or a customer of another bank, perhaps, we don't know, you had your private financial data sent over to the FBI, who then could root through it. Were they looking at your financial data? Were you visiting Washington, D.C.? Are you a D.C. resident, or do you live in the area? And you spent money on groceries, or you went to the CVS, or you were visiting and you purchased, and you were all of a sudden got an FBI file, practically speaking, on you? Is that what happened? Well, we want to know, and we asked for the records under the Freedom of Information Act. They gave us the Stonewall. They gave us a song and dance, even more so than usual. So we sued. And in June, I think we sued a little bit before June. June 8th, the court overseeing the lawsuit ordered the FBI to respond substantively Judicial Watch's request within 30 days. And this is the song and dance. On June 17th, the FBI responded saying that the request was too broad and asked for further clarification and or narrowing of the request. It wasn't either, but we got to do what we got to do to move the case along. On June 24th, we responded by sending another news article detailing Bank of America's handing over transaction records to the FBI. And they said, okay, we understand what you mean now, right? And you know what their response was? We can't confirm or deny whether we have any documents, whether the records even exist, which is we get that sometimes in national security cases where, the CIA uses that for reasons that I think might be obvious to you. Hey, are you spying on, do you have a telephone tap of person X, spy X? They said, we can't confirm or deny that. We're not even going to tell you whether we have the ability to do that. But here, they're saying they have no records about their communications or the transfer of records with banks, or they can't confirm or deny they have any records. We're not asking, and I would presume, we're not going to get someone's personal financial data, but the mere transaction is a state secret, practically speaking. Not in my view. So the court's going to have to figure out whether he'll accept this. But isn't that interesting? So the question is, did the FBI engage in what looks to be an unprecedented abuse of the financial privacy of countless innocent Americans, along with the big banks? And the FBI stonewalling and denial of this really speaks volumes, don't you think? It really speaks volumes. Or speaks volumes, I should say. So we're in the lawsuit. We're trying to get the information. And I see Nancy Pelosi, they've created this select committee. This is the real investigation. This is, I think, our 5th or 6th lawsuit on basic January 6th information. We've asked for records, and our requests in our lawsuit, in my view, forced the DC medical examiner to finally admit that police officer died of natural causes and wasn't murdered like the left pretended. We're still asking for records. We sued for information on the shooting of Ashley Babbitt. I mean, the secrecy there is political and scandalous. Records on Nancy Pelosi's communications with the Pentagon about the use of the military, undermining President Trump. We're asking for the videos that have been hidden from the American people about the disturbance on January 6th. All of this, Judicial Watch is doing the heavy lifting on, as Congress pretends to be really interested in this while actually subverting our ability to get the information. Congress is the one hiding the videos. Congress is the one hiding the information about the death of Ashley Babbitt. Congress needs to be investigated, specifically Nancy Pelosi and company, on January 6th. But it's gotten worse. It's expanded beyond January 6th, the illicit spying. I'm not sure what we're going to find in this banking case we have about the FBI's taking your banking records, but it's not just about January 6th the deep state's interested in. They don't like you protesting or being concerned about COVID. And it looks like they're spying on you about that. So there was this news report. We didn't come up with it. Let me pull this one up. From the Postal Service. I didn't know this. I guess I don't know everything. I'm not a leftist government bureaucrat. I don't pretend to know everything about everything. That the Postal Service has this special internet covert operations program that's capable of collecting and tracking American citizens' social media posts. Did you know the post office is capable and is willing to, evidently, according to this report, spy on your social media postings? And in this case, Yahoo News reported that the records were a creation or with the agency within the post office called the United States Postal Inspection Service Internet Covert Operations Program, which monitored significant activity regarding planned anti-lockdown protests occurring internationally and domestically on March 20th, 2021. So says Yahoo News. They got a March 16th government bulletin marked as law enforcement sensitive and distributed through the Homeland Security's Department of Homeland Security's fusion centers. So they're watching social media platforms about lawful protests under the First Amendment, spying on you. Again, we asked for the records about what the heck was going on here. We asked for all, and I'm not, there were, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 7 different requests about what was going on here. And of course, they failed to respond to the request. The Postal Service did. So the Postal Service that can't get mail into your mailbox the way it's supposed to, either on time or sometimes at all, is evidently spying on you. And we want to know, did the Biden administration weaponize, again, the United States Postal Service, like the left has done with the FBI, the Justice Department, and other agencies, to improperly spy on Americans? That's what this FOIA lawsuit's about. And this is another example of why Judicial Watch is important. So when did this story come out? April of 2021. So, you think it would be a pretty big deal if there's a public report that the Postal Service is spying on American social media postings. I'm not aware of anyone doing anything about it. Are you? Have you heard about this other than my telling you about it? You may have. I mean, I understand a lot of you are pretty sharp and follow this stuff. And, I remember when it happened too. But obviously, most Americans don't know about this, even people who follow things closely, because the government, including Congress, has zero interest in protecting your civil liberties. And I know there's some people who have a little bit of interest in protecting your civil liberties or in government, but practically speaking, there's nothing the government does in terms of abusing your civil liberties that Congress is terribly interested in confronting. Certainly the federal agencies aren't doing it, and of course the media doesn't care about it unless, of course, they're the targets of it. And even then, it depends only if they are the targets. Other media being the targets of illegal spying, they don't care about, i.e. Tucker Carlson. Which, by the way, it's been confirmed the NSA had read his emails. Practically speaking, it's been confirmed that the NSA has read his emails and leaked them. He was unmasked, just like Trump was, General Flynn was, General Sessions was, and they leaked spy information to the media. That's essentially been confirmed. And what's the media's response? He deserved it. I'll say it once and I'll say it again. The left doesn't care about the Constitution. The left doesn't care about your civil liberties. They see those civil liberties as a tool sometimes to get what they want, to protect themselves. But when it comes to it being broadly applied to everyone in the United States, they don't believe in that. They don't believe we have the same rights. Their political opponents have the same rights or any rights under the Constitution. They don't believe it. They'd be willing to jail and worse their political opponents. I mean, I've always thought that generally about the kind of the moderate left, but now you've got this rising communist left throughout the land that is threatening our republic. And because no one's been punished, practically speaking, no one's faced any jail time, let alone a significant grand jury questioning session. They're just continuing to do it, and in fact, it's getting worse. So you don't need to worry just about the FBI, dear citizen. You need to worry about the post office spying on you as well. All because you object to lockdowns and may want to go to a protest here and there. Unbelievable. I guess it's not unbelievable, but it is outrageous. And I am glad we are doing it. I tell you, this is why I love Judicial Watch. Because we all see these stories, right? And we get outraged and so, what do you can do about it? Well, we can at least try to figure out what went on. and maybe pressure them to stop it by shining the light on it. Because they'll never stop if we don't know what they're up to. And if it weren't for Judicial Watch, none of this would come out. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.